We know the crisis is rushing towards us in many respects, but the politicians are talking like dead men walking. We are at the moment where our politicians have lost the sense of the future. They're not offering us a future that's fundamentally different from better consumption, more growth, 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 growth. It's a fundamentally alienated concept, GDP growth as progress. GDP growth is stupid. GDP was a measure of the 1930s which was measuring resources mobilizable for the war. So we've lost the sense of a future, which means a better form of society. That's a fundamental dilemma that we've got. And that's why we have a disillusion with our conventional politics. The Social Democrats, who dominated the discourse for most of the 20th century, are dead men walking. That's why Starmer can't give a vision of the future. He isn't giving one, all right? But it's a reflection on both sides of politics. And that's why we're getting this drift to the far right that you mentioned, which is frightening, because populism is atavistic. Let's go back to a past that we think is better than today. And therefore, we are in a crisis moment.
So we tend to measure progress in our lifetime. If things haven't worked out quite well in the Middle East, then we think it's a great failure. And sometimes we've just got to take the long view when it comes to progress.
So we really need to think outside of the box and think together about what it means to be progressive. And that cannot be, again, the kind of ideology of progress that is based on private property or economic growth, on technology and science for its own sake, and not for human flourishing, which was at the center of the progressive ideology from the very beginning.
There was a great social democrat sociologist, T.H. Marshall, who said that progress throughout history was first the advance of civil rights in the 17th century, cultural rights in the 18th century, political rights in the 19th century, and social rights in the 20th century. If that's the case, then the 21st century has to be the century where economic rights are advanced and ecological rights, because you cannot possibly talk about progress in this century without focusing on the environment and the challenge of existential survival. And that, I think, is fundamentally different, and it was lost, the appreciation of a connection with nature. That's why the commons is so important, that the middle class and the elites lost all respect for nature in the 19th century. It was externalities, and we have to recover that. And that's why we're at in a moment of interregnum, where we know the crisis is rushing towards us in many respects, but the politicians are talking like dead men walking. And we need a new breed of a new vernacular politics, which I think is beginning to take shape in the precariat groups around the world, which is messy at the moment. But they are beginning to define progress in a fundamentally transformative way, which should be extremely exciting. And if the politicians don't listen, they'll be swept off the stage and replaced by those who are listening.
You and I have always got on well, and I've always liked you, and I've always admired your entrepreneurialism, because you're a very capable fellow, but very few people can come to this country with nothing and make the great fortune that you've made, and I genuinely esteem that. But there has to be an opportunity for progress for people who are not blessed with your particular gifts, and maybe an element of serendipity that assisted you as well. And the truth of the matter is that modern conservatives, you may be an exception because you are a rare and exotic bird, but modern conservatives cannot themselves, in any real sense, be progressives. I mean, really, the notion of a progressive conservative is almost an oxymoron. It's just not imaginable. And I find it extraordinary. I mean, Burke famously said, as you will know, the state which lacks the means of change lacks the means of its own conservation. Well, modern conservatives, if they've been in the business of change at all, it has been regressive change. And when I look at the current Conservative leadership contest, you know, it's got nothing to do with progress. Mr. Jenrick and Ms. Badenoch's idea of progress is attracting another vote from the bigoted, reactionary and dwindling electorate which elect the leader of Her Majesty's official opposition. There's nothing very honourable about that. They're engaged in a Dutch auction as to which of them can be the more extreme.
David Cameron passed a law allowing gay marriage. Was that not progressive?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
Conservatives can be progressive.
David Cameron was, I said actually, I think earlier to somebody that it was the single greatest achievement of his premiership. All rules have exceptions. I do accept, Marianne. I think David, of whom I didn't otherwise have a particularly high opinion, he was a very pale imitation of Tony Blair as Prime Minister. I know he thought he was heir to Blair. He wasn't in the same league as Blair.
Let's not
but
digress,
on that issue, I accept he was absolutely excellent. His party were against it almost venomously, and he just decided to do it. I once said that to Nick Clegg. I said to Nick Clegg, in fairness to David, he was really good on that. And Nick Clegg rushed to rebuke me by saying, John, you do realise it was really Lynn Featherstone and me that got that. And I said, well, that may be so, but David, to be fair, was Prime Minister. And that is to his credit. But it's the exception that proves the rule.
So, Guy, do you think you have to be left-wing to be progressive?
No, but I would ask both politicians to stop being so parochial about the Conservative Party. Okay? I mean, they're defeated. They may be consigned to history. Maybe some will rescue them. We don't know. It's for progressive thoughts in the future.
Yeah.
But let's have less noise on the Conservative Party, please. That's progress. Okay.
No, I can accept.
So we had Margaret Thatcher with her infamous statement, "There is no such thing as society." Remember that?
Complete the quote.
Yes, and there are only individuals and families. There are only individuals and families.
Families and communities.
Okay, but that excludes all sense of community. It excludes all sense of class. And class matters, believe it or not. So for me, progress is class. It is about class. You cannot forget class when you're talking about progress.
But surely, can I just, one sentence? Surely, whatever else progress connotes, it must connote a reduction in the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. If it doesn't involve that, it cannot be progress, surely.
That's what I'm saying.
So we have no progressive politics today, then?
Well, Camilla,
at the moment, the jury's out, Camilla. Is it in the assembly?
Is it out?
The
is
jury's
inequality reducing or staying neutral?
Well, I mean, I think it's a bit harsh to judge the government on 3 months, to be honest, to be fair. It's got a term. But at the moment, measured over the last 15 years, for example, has there been progress? No, we've regressed.
But this is all so parochial. You're just talking about the UK and the Conservative Party within the UK.
Well, I wasn't talking about the UK. I'm not talking about the Conservative Party. I'm talking about the UK. It's difficult enough to contend without one's own.
About the global trend.
Can I just finish? I mean, if you look globally, you see that life expectancy has risen, poverty has fallen, child mortality has fallen. I mean, surely this is progress, isn't it, globally?
Yeah, mainly driven by
depends
China.
on where are you standing.
To continue watching this video, click the link in the top left or in the description below. Or visit iai.tv for more debates and talks from the world's leading thinkers on today's biggest ideas.